I'm making this video to try and bring to you an awareness of what I found to be going on within the British care system. I started developing services for crack cocaine users within this country in 1991. And by 1997, I set up my own independent drug service for women crack cocaine users. In 1999, a client came in telling me that social services had taken her child and the child was up for adoption, and that she was using crack cocaine. She wanted to stop and she wanted the care order revoked. I know that was a tall order, but I said I would support her to try and achieve this. She stopped using crack cocaine straight away, and what I found was something completely different to what I was used to. Previous to that, for 8 years, any recommendations that I had given to social services were gladly welcomed, but in this case I was receiving obstructions to even get to have a meeting with the social worker to find out what the circumstances were. After 4 weeks, due to the fact that they wasn't arranging even contacts for the mother with the child, I managed to meet with the social worker. By this time, the client was looking very healthy. I said that, we would like for the child to be returned, and I was shown that no, there was no intention of giving the child back to the mother ever. It took till the following year for it to go into the High Court to request for the mother to be assessed. At this time, social services refused the assessment. Following on from that, there was 2 psychiatric assessments, urine tests, hair tests, everything showing that the mother was doing very well, but still the obstruction was there from social services, and the contacts were very rare, and case conferences, it took a long while before the mother was even invited to a case conference, and when she was invited, it wasn't running like they normally run. Due to this, I went to the chair of social services, who also ran a child play scheme service, which I had previously worked with, so he knew me pretty well. I expressed to him the obstruction I was receiving from social services, and he said he would go and speak to them and see what he could do. This seemed to be very successful. Following from that, they held a case conference, and everything ran normal, how I was used to seeing it. The mother was asked on forms what she required from the service and so forth. Following from that, the courts, in the courts, it was agreed that the mother would be assessed to see if the child could be returned to her. Normally, guardian ad litem social workers come and visit me to see what my opinion is on a client, but in this case, none had come anywhere near me. They showed no interest in hearing my point of view. But following on from visiting the chair and the courts agreeing to assessment, the guardian ad litem visited me. She asked me who I knew within social services. I informed her that I did know the chair, and this seemed to be an important issue. After this meeting, I'd like to tell you that I was informed that the chair was forced to resign, or he was asked to choose between being the chair of social services or to give up the service that he'd been running for children for years. So he resigned from being chair of social services. On the day of the agreement in court for the mother to be assessed with the daughter by an independent social worker, it was also requested that the child could be taken to Ghana for a month. The judge agreed to this, and therefore the mother had to wait a month for the child's return to be assessed. The assessment went very well. and the social worker could see no reason why the child wasn't returned to the mother. On the return from Ghana, the child was very skinny. Normally the mother on contact would take the child new clothes and dress her in the new clothes. On this occasion, the child wouldn't let her actually change the clothes, and after the assessment was finished, the foster carer would come and jokingly said to the mother, you know, she didn't let you change her clothes, I bet. And no, she didn't. The assessment went fine, and recommendations were made for the child to be gradually increased in contact with the mother for the eventual return. At the last contact with at a nursery with the child wet herself, so the mother went to change her and witnessed that the child had swollen vaginal area, pink in colour, discharge. The child is black. She called the social worker that had been allocated that day to witness what she saw and was quite horrified, really. She later called me, and the next day we went to social services and asked that the child be examined by a doctor. This was obstructed yet again, and they phoned the foster carer, who said, oh, it was because she'd had some antibiotics recently that had caused some thrush. Disappointed with their decision to not have the child examined, we went to the local police child protection unit, who said that they would examine her. But it took them 8-9 days to actually have her examined, and I questioned even the doctor that they used. They claimed was a paediatrician who examined her, who claimed that there was no abnormalities, but still there is abnormalities in the vaginal area in terms of discoloration of the skin. Following on from this, the guardian immediately called for an emergency court hearing, saying that the mother was trying to sabotage the case, claiming that the child had been sexually abused. The judge really didn't take any notice of this, and he agreed for the child to continue to be returned. The child still belonging to the borough meant that the mother had no parental rights to insist on witnessing the child examination, anything to that nature. The contact continued in the mother's home, and at the final supervised contact within her home, the child was jumping up and down on the bed, and the mother could see that there was a chain around the child's waist. When she went to undo it, because it seemed to be causing a rash on the child's skin, she found that there was no clasp. She decided to break the chain. The social worker told her, no, I suggest you don't do that, but the mother still did it. The child was eventually returned to the mother full care. On return, the child, still with the discoloration in her skin, claimed that she had pain in her vaginal area, and also started expressing how she'd been sexually abused. The mother went straight back to the police, who said they would come round and interview the child. It took a month to come, but when they did come, the child just really took gobbledygook, and they said they had better clients where the information would just roll off their tongue, so they wouldn't be able to use the child as a witness. They placed the child in nursery, where one day, which later date makes more sense, the child come out with a big piece of her fringe chopped. And I said to the child, what happened to your fringe? And she said, oh, some child had done it, which we thought, well, it did look like it was chopped by a child, so we accepted that. But at a later stage, we found no, there was hair and nails being removed from the child during her time at nursery. A few months later, the final court hearing was heard, where it was agreed that the child would be given back to the mother for full custody, but to continue with a year's supervision order on social services visiting her. By this time, the case had taken 2.5 years, and the child was age free. This is only the beginning of this case. It's a very long case, so I thought I'd break it down into smaller parts for you. If you want to learn more about the case, I have written up a blog now, and you can find it at higherinsight.blogspot.com. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.